going on, guys? Welcome back to Slevtek's Roundtable, where we get a little bit of a further insight into who streamers are on and off of camera. Today, I have my boy SirCampALot79. What is going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, bro. Pretty good. So we know each other through. You know Joey Bag of Donuts. We were just kind of talking about this before we started.
Yep.
You know? Do you know Miss G or was it Sab?
Miss G.
You know Miss
Yep.
G
I
and
know
Sab.
Miss Gigabucks. Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
Sab as well, yes.
Sab was the one that told you about the podcast, or how did that kind of go down?
Miss G approached me first, and then Sab did later. Honestly, the first time Miss G said something, I thought maybe her account got hacked because she sent me a message out of the blue about it, and I was like, okay, well that was random.
Yeah.
And then Sab approached me later about it, and then I got back in contact with Miss G because I was like, okay, so that wasn't a joke.
Dude, that's funny. So you thought like somebody hacked Miss G's account? And
Yeah, I thought maybe that, or maybe she meant to send it to somebody else, or I didn't know for sure.
Trying to get some information from you or whatnot.
Yeah, I was like, that was weird. It's kind of
Yeah, and then you probably Joey Bag of Donuts, so you know that he was on the podcast or whatnot. So probably had a little bit of validity. I swear I'm not going to ask for your social security number. I might ask for your credit card information. I'm a broke 23-year-old, but
hey, that's a dead end road. Just letting you know.
I love it, man. So how long have you been streaming for, bro?
I've only been streaming since April of last year.
That's still a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
And you have a pretty unique streaming setup, right? Or like the process and how you stream.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up. It's unlike what anybody else does. So
what do you do? Because it's kind of, you told me just a little bit, and it kind of intrigued me.
Okay, so I don't run any kind of Elgato system or anything else. I just strictly use Streamlabs, and then I pull up the SharePlay, and I use SharePlay and capture that through Streamlabs, and then do all my audio and stuff through the PC as well. I have another microphone that runs into the PlayStation separately from the headset because the headset doesn't work that way. And so I have two microphones sitting in front of me, one for the stream to capture, and then one for the PlayStation to capture. Then I have the camera and everything all ran through the PC as well. So it's just strictly a Streamlabs and no Elgato.
How do you do the screenplay? What is? Because I've known people that have done like the Xbox, because like you can link the Xbox with your actual PC and then run it that way.
Yeah, so
Basic Beast does that, but I don't know about the PlayStation.
This is what I do on the PlayStation is I do what's called SharePlay, and what it'll do when you SharePlay to the computer, which is not really hard to set that up, but it is a little bit of a process to get that all done. And there's a trick to make it work. You actually have to have two accounts logged into it, and I just lost everything.
Oh.
Okay, we're back.
No worries. Yeah, you're still good on my end.
All right. So anyway, I got a blue screen for a second. I was confused what happened. Anyway, so once you get this, it'll actually connect to the PlayStation.
Okay.
So everything you see on the PlayStation will pop up on the computer, and then you go into the OBS setting, and then where it would be normally like a window capture or anything else, you actually go in and select SharePlay, and then that will capture everything from SharePlay right into your OBS, and then your OBS picks up everything that you see on your monitor for the PlayStation.
That's interesting, man. So you don't So it works perfectly though, right? Are you able to?
I've been doing it since April.
So you probably are able to like have alerts, have an overlay if you want.
Yeah. Yep, I have all that stuff. Yeah, and
everything, and you don't even really have a streaming PC.
No, it's just a regular old Elgato, or I mean, Optiplex. It's a 3010, nothing fancy. It's just a little i5, and it never has issues.
Dude, that is insane. Because when I first started streaming, I bought like a $2,500. I still have the same case and everything. I've upgraded parts since, but I spent like $2,500 on a PC, and for the longest time, I couldn't even stream to like that great of quality. You know?
Wow, yeah, I just keep it down limited to 720p, and it's mostly because like the wife likes to watch a lot of the streamers too. But if they stream in 1080 for whatever reason on her phone, she can't watch them. It'll just keep cutting in and out. So I stream in 720 to make it where more people can watch and make it more accessible.
And on a phone, you can't really tell the difference too, and that's where most people consume their content.
And it's got the capability of doing 1080, but just to keep it to where there's more people able to watch, I just run it in 720, and nobody's complained yet. So just keep rolling with that.
No, I love it, and I've actually downgraded my stream to 720 as well. because it's a partner thing. I don't know if are you affiliate on Twitch?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So it's not an affiliate feature, but when you become a partner, you then can go in and like select which like outsource you want.
yeah,
We don't have that, so it's whatever we set it to. And so for those that are, let's say, on the road trying to watch the stream, really hard to get all of that
exactly.
bit rate going for a 1080 stream. So the 720 is definitely more
Yeah, and
advantageous.
that's exactly the same reason I do it that way, just because it seems to make it to where a lot more people can use it. I know I watch a lot of stuff at work too, and
Yeah,
it's if they're in 1080, I just can't.
I
So
got you. What do you do for work?
I'm a welder.
You're a what?
I weld.
You're a welder. Oh
Yeah,
man, that's
yeah.
cool, man. How'd you get into that?
Uh, my buddy back way back in the day, his dad was a welder,
Hmm.
and he used to go up there, and he was always building stuff. He worked professionally as a welder, but he was always building stuff too at home, and he'd make goat carts and little lawnmower powered dirt bikes, and he was always welding. He built us a pedal power car, all kinds of stuff. So he's always being really creative with his welding. And I started helping him and just got hooked on it. And I actually later, when I was old enough, went and worked at the same company he was working at.
Really, that's cool.
So
Is his son a welder too, or was he not having it?
yeah, no, he did welding for quite some time. He's into more of the fabrication side of things now, though.
Okay,
So
I
he
gotcha.
got out of that and just went to the more shaping the metal, bending the metal, and big, huge industrial brakes and stuff, and doing that side of
Yeah.
things.
Now you didn't weld the logo behind you, but did you have that custom made? That looks really cool, man.
Actually, that was made from a guy at work, and he does that on a bead roller. That's all. I can grab it here. It's not mounted in there yet. I just got it back, but it's all bead rolled. I don't know how well you can see that.
What do you mean by
It's probably
you said bead rolled?
yeah. So it's one flat piece of aluminum to begin
Uh huh.
with, and then he runs it through the bead roller, and this is actually raised up. It's like 3D effect.
Yeah.
It's
It's like embossed
actually
almost.
dimpled. Yeah, and he did that all by hand for me. He made that for me a while back.
What's a bead roller? Is it legitimately just like a bead, like
Yeah, it's
beads with a
a
roller
little
on it?
round ball,
Uh huh.
like a bearing, and it's got a raised lip to it. And that
Okay.
raised lip, wherever that raised lip hit, makes the indentions to the picture.
Dude, that looks insane. I love it. I love anything that has like it's got like an industrial kind of look to it, you know?
Yeah, and
And
then
like
another guy at work made the wood frames for it.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because like for me behind me I have my logo. That's actually steel that was laser
Nice,
cut to make it and then they galvanized the whole thing and then I had to like hand sand the lettering so that it pops out a little bit.
that's
So
awesome. Yeah, yeah,
definitely respect anything metalwork, bro. 100%.
definitely. I got some other small. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I
No,
got
no,
some
no,
other
for sure.
small custom stuff here. Like there's another guy at work. We got some crafty people out there, so I'll try to see if this will focus in. You might be able to see my Camp Lot logo there
I
on the
can see
pin.
a little bit. It's not wanting to focus, but
And then it says SirCampALot79. So it's going to be hard to see, but this looks like a like an AR-15 style, and it's actually got a bolt action to make the pin go
the
in and
pen.
out. And then it comes in a tactical case.
Really? He custom made that, or is that like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
business of his?
he hand makes those. This one here you might be able to see a little better. It actually looks like a bullet.
Okay,
Try to get a
yeah.
little closer. And
How do they
then
make
the
that,
same
man?
thing. It says Sir Camp Lot on that side. Then it's Black Ops 4 on this side because I was running Black Ops 4 all the time back in the day, and
Yeah,
it all glows in the dark. So
that's cool, man. You got some cool friends.
yeah, they make some neat stuff for me. I've got
Yeah.
just one more quick one here. You can see this bad dude probably. This is all
Okay.
handmade as well. Got bullets for the head.
Hey, man.
Just yeah, they're just crafty people. We trade things, and they'll need some stuff welded up,
For
and I'll
sure.
weld it up, and then throw them a little bit of cash, and they make me some cool stuff. So
Yeah.
it all works out.
Whereabouts do you live?
Illinois.
Illinois. Okay.
Basically, we'll call it Peoria. Is not too far from me. That's the next biggest city.
Okay. Is that like north, south, central,
I would say
west, east?
it's directly west, straight across the river.
Okay. I got you. I've got some family that's in Chicago, but I don't know really anything other than
Yeah,
that.
Chicago we would be 2.5 hours south of Chicago.
Okay. I got you,
Basically,
man.
right in the middle of Illinois. If you look at the map, there's Peoria right there.
Yeah. Cool. So were you born and raised in Chicago or not or in Illinois
Yeah,
or
yeah, I've been here my whole life. Yep.
okay. Cool, man. So how'd you get into video games? You seem like a really like kind of outdoorsy, like gun loving kind of guy.
Both, all the above, but I'm guilty. I've been playing video games since Atari,
Really?
so yeah, I
So you were
think
born. I'm gonna take a random shot in the dark in like 1979.
exactly 79. Go figure, right? Pretty
Right?
sneaky with the name there. Yeah, and I think I got my first Atari. I want to believe it was in '85 when we got the Atari,
Okay.
and I still have it.
So
It's
you were
the
like 6 years
2600.
old. You were just a little kid.
Yeah, yep. Well, I had an older brother. He's 3 years older than me, and so he actually would technically have been his Atari, but I played it just as much as he did.
For sure. Yeah, because in
Then,
sixth grade, you're like maybe, God, you're in like first or second grade,
yeah, yeah, that'd be
right?
about right.
Yeah, dude, that's like the time to be alive. I wish I was like born in like the like early '80s so that I could have like relived those days. Like that would have been amazing. Because I played the '64, but I was born in '96, and
I
so
played a lot of '64.
yeah. My brother, he's 8 years older than me though. So like we had like the Super Nintendo, and we had a couple of the
Awesome.
older games. Like he was born in '85, I believe. Don't
We
quote me
we
on
still
that.
have them all.
Yeah.
We still have the Atari. We still have a Nintendo that works. We've got a Super Nintendo that works. We've got a PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and then
So
obviously
you've
4.
held on to him this whole time?
They all still work.
Jeez, man, that's like a little museum at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Well,
were actually taking the controllers out the other day. We had the PlayStation 2 controller and a PlayStation 3 controller, and we're looking for the PlayStation 1 because everything's in totes and stuff in storage. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in a shadow box
mhm.
for our second oldest boy, and he's going to hang that on his wall because he still does the PlayStation thing too. So then we have a
Okay,
shadow box with all the controllers.
gotcha. And then how many
So
kids do you have?
we have six.
You have 6 kids.
Yeah, we got six kids
Jeez, man,
and two grandbabies.
you're busy, man. You're a busy man.
Yeah, from 21 years old down to the youngest over here. He's 7,
Okay.
and he's more hardcore into gaming than I ever was. He plays every second we'll allow him. So,
Yeah. What's he into? Fortnite? Please tell me no.
well,
No
he
Fortnite.
does play Fortnite, but he's really good at Black Ops 4
Okay.
multiplayer. And then he plays. I've got him playing some Modern Warfare too. He was playing a little bit of Modern Warfare earlier, and he's actually. I got to get another PC on the way, and then I'm going to give him my other PC down here to my left because I'm running two systems, and
Hmm.
I'll have him set up hopefully in a week or two on his own stream, and he'll do that
Oh,
for.
he'll be streaming.
Yeah,
As a
yeah.
7-year-old, that is amazing, man.
Well, he's done it like 3 times, but it's been from my setup,
Yeah.
and we streamed him to YouTube. But I want to make it to where he's actually able to stream straight to YouTube from his own setup. So that's why we're going to give him the other PC.
Yeah, that's cool. Does he like that? He knows that you stream. Is he all about it? Is he interested in that or?
He's definitely interested in it. The thing we've been working on, he was doing it really good there. We were only doing it on Saturdays for like an hour or two, depending on
Hmm.
how he felt with it, because it honestly kind of overwhelmed him. Because I think the biggest issue, and we've talked about it a little since then, the biggest issue for him was is that he watches all these guys on YouTube and stuff, and they put up their videos, and you know how it is. They only put up their best, and they're all flawless the whole time.
Yeah.
So he thinks while he's streaming, he needs to be perfect and on point the whole game, and he gets frustrated because he's dying or whatever. And it's like, look, buddy, they only put their best foot forward. They're not going to put up a video of them, repeatedly dying.
Yeah.
So we've talked about it since then, and he's a little more understanding now. So he's ready to get back into it and try it again.
That's so cool. There's How do you feel? I know you're in support of it, so you're pro on it, but there's a lot of parents out there that aren't comfortable with their kids being put out on, let's say, a streaming platform where you don't know who's necessarily going to be watching. You know what I mean?
Well,
What's your kind of
yeah,
thoughts on that?
I think it's all right. And the thing is, too, like we've talked about, is either I'm going to be sitting right there. When we did it before, I was sitting right
Hmm.
there. I was reading chat. I was watching to make sure there was no trolls in there and nobody
For
trying to
sure.
mess with him or anything else. And then letting him focus on the game, and I would read it off to him. Going forward, if he's doing it on his own, it'll still be the same. I'll sit there because again, he's only 7, and make sure that everything's going smoothly.
Yeah.
But the goal is to do some streaming together, and that's why I have the dual monitors over here, so I can have him pulled up on the one screen and myself pulled up on the other,
Gotcha.
and then I can watch both of our chats at the
And
same
he'll stream
time.
when you stream, so you're able to
Yeah, and then we can,
constantly have the pulse
you
on
know,
it. Yeah.
that way I can make sure that nothing crazy is going on, and then we'll obviously be able to commute via the microphones and play the game. But I can make sure that his, nothing's going on with his chat or anything.
Yeah. That's cool, man. And that's got to be such a. I just know from like being a little kid, if like my father was into video games and like let alone streaming together, that's got to be a great bonding like moment, you know?
It's pretty cool, and it's honestly certain things he's a lot better than me. Like he's a heck of a sniper. He's almost got all of his he's got the SDM left to go, and he only needs to get the he needs to get 3 more of the multi kill,
Gotcha.
whatever it is, the 5 kills or whatever the kill
He's
streaks. That's what it
7?
is. Yeah, and he's already. I think he's only got 2 more levels to go, and he'll be prestige 9.
Hey man, you need to start homeschooling him. You need to put him on like a scheduled regime where he has to go to target practice 3 hours a day.
Honestly, once he gets his homework done, he's pretty much allowed to play up until it's supper time, and
Yeah.
then depending on what we're having to eat, sometimes he's allowed to eat in his room, and then other times he's not. But he's able to get a few hours in every night, and it's not an issue. So as long as he's still doing good, he's a straight A student.
Yeah.
And as long as he's still doing that, and he's not getting any trouble and everything, there's not really an issue with him playing the game. So
Yeah.
I've
Most
been doing it my
definitely.
whole life.
I'm completely in support of that too, especially like you're gonna be there monitoring that chat and making sure that you're filtering through kind of those weirdos that could be out there. And I'm sure that you're
There's no weirdos out there.
right. And then you're also having a conversation with him, I can imagine, just preemptively, because he's gonna see things or be exposed to the internet. I think it would be naive for any parent to think that their kid is not going to be exposed to something. You know,
Yeah,
it's just how you
been,
have that conversation. They know kind of moving forward how to
he's been watching
act.
streamers for I don't know the last year or so. He's been
Hmm.
watching streamers and watching guys play. He really likes. I'm not going to get into politics on any of that, but he really likes FaZe Clan.
Sure.
So he does a lot of watching with that, and he likes those guys. And there's a couple other guys that he watches. There's I can't remember names, but there's a guy
Sure.
that plays a lot of zombies, and he watches him a lot. So
Gotcha.
he was actually excited. I just recently re-downloaded the BO3 with the Zombie Chronicles, and that's what we played last night. So
Oh,
he was
so
really
you POJ, right? Or Pro
Yep,
J
POJ.
Gamer?
POJ Gamer. Yep.
POJ Gamer. And then
Yep.
your son were playing. That's really cool.
Well, he didn't play last night. He's
Okay.
excited that I have it. He's seen last night we were playing, so he was like, "Oh, when did you download BO3 again? That's what I want to stream next."
Yeah.
So I
So,
might try to get him on tomorrow, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
that's cool, man. No, like I love that. Like he's excited to get streaming. Like imagine being 7 and being able to like have your whole life ahead of you and stream. That's
Yeah.
got to be pretty cool in my opinion. I think that's
And I know
that's
every
awesome.
parent says, "Oh, their kid's good" or whatever, but honestly, for 7, he's really good.
Yeah, I mean if he's
So,
got all of his guns gold like the snipers, except for a couple,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
that's
he's only got just the SDM, and he needs 3 more of
multi-kills
the multi kill thing there,
or the
and that's it.
bloodthirsty or whatever they are.
That's it is. Yeah, the bloodthirsty, and then he'll
Yeah.
have diamond on all his snipers. So
And does he play any blackout?
he does sometimes. Sometimes we'll play Alcatraz, and every now and again he'll play Blackout. My whole streaming up until about 3 or 4 months ago was nothing but Blackout. That's all I played. I played nothing else.
Yeah.
And then whenever Modern Warfare came out, I
Mm.
played Blackout all the way up until then. I was pretty diehard about it until that
Gotcha.
point.
What do you think of Modern Warfare?
I honestly, it's hit or miss. I have some bad nights, but I don't mind it as much as a lot of other people do. I don't get on the whole, oh, it's camping this, camping that. I mean, the guys camp, yes, but I've played all the way since Black Ops 1, and
Yeah.
ever since Black Ops 1, there was campers. I mean, it's nothing new. It's just that I don't know. There's a lot more people playing now, I guess, and a lot more exposure, and a lot more people
Sure.
get upset about it and are able to voice their opinion about being upset about it. But it's been going on ever since Call of Duty started. So
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely more vantage points in this game, you know. So there's a lot
True,
more
true.
angles
I'll
to
agree
get
with
killed
that.
at, and that's the reason why I personally am not a huge fan of it. But I mean, to each their own, you know. I can definitely get down on some gunfight. I'm gonna be excited when the battle royale comes out, but I think for myself personally, I just like the battle royale genre more, and so I think that's why we've had the taste of the battle royale, and going back to like a multiplayer setting just wasn't for me. If that was all that was out there and we never had the battle royale, I think that I would probably like Modern Warfare. You know?
I can agree to that, and I'm really excited about the battle royale coming. A lot of the guys aren't. I don't know why they're not into the BRs, but I personally, that's why I still keep going back and playing BO4 is because I like going back and playing the BR. I actually just played it the other day, and I'll probably be playing it tonight. Honestly,
Blackout.
Yeah, I'll probably be on there tonight. My buddy just messaged me and asked if we were going to run tonight, so
Gotcha.
I probably will.
Yeah, man. No, I streamed it literally 5 hours today.
I've even I watched a couple of your matches when you were on Twitch, and just sit silently and kind of watch. I wanted to see what I was getting into.
Yeah, dude, was it that today?
No, it wasn't today. It was,
okay, good. Today was horrible. Today was a bad day for Blackout, man.
And honestly, as far as BO4 goes, with Blackout and that, I really, really like Alcatraz, where everybody else seems to hate it. But I get more wins at Alcatraz than I do anything else. I love Alcatraz.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a hybrid between multiplayer and like Blackout. You know, because you get that respawn effect. You have like an actual team aspect where you don't want to be the last one to like go down. There's communication factor there, so I definitely get around it too.
And things aren't so spaced out either. To me, that tighter map to me works a lot better because you pretty much know where everybody's going to be at. And when it's all spread out and you come across a random house or whatever, you don't expect there to be a whole team sitting in the garage all held up there, and you go running through the window, and next thing you know, you got 4 guys shooting you. That happens a lot more in Blackout.
But when that does happen, man, that's when you really question whether or not that $250 controller is worth throwing out the window.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes here lately. It seems like it's been that way for me. I haven't had much luck on Blackout, but I still like to play it. We've been doing a little bit of duos here lately.
Okay.
And then jumping in with randoms on Alcatraz.
Gosh, man. Yo, if you want to play tonight, hit me up, man. I'm totally down to play. I'm free for the rest of the night, so get some games in. But yeah, man, dude, I love Call of Duty. I love first-person shooters. I've been getting into Escape from Tarkov. I don't know if you've heard of it. Really cool game. It's essentially the most realistic game out on the market right now for first-person shooters. Essentially like post-war Russia. And so like an EMP went off, and there's like these PMCs, private military contractors, and
write that down. What was the name of it again?
Escape from Tarkov, Tarkov. It's a PC game, and it's so in depth, man. Like the goal is, and this is kind of where I feel like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare BR is going to kind of take from this a little bit in a great way. Is there's going to be an economy system. So you've probably heard of like the plunder for the Modern Warfare BR.
Yeah.
How like you can extract your plunder at like an ATM or whatnot. So no matter what, like there's gonna be kind of like an ecosystem, or an economy.
Yeah, that'll make it more interesting too.
Yeah, and with that, Tarkov has that same exact thing. And so you go in there, you try and loot, and the whole purpose is you go into a map. It's a big map, and you have extraction points. And you don't know what your extraction point is gonna be. You spawn at a random point in the map, and you try and loot to get like equipment or items, or you try and kill people to get their loot, and you try and extract out with whatever loot that you get. Now there's like the ruble, which is like Russia's currency, and so you can sell all of your items at vendors, or you can sell it on like the flea market, which is like a user-based like market exchange, if you will. And what's cool though is if you die inside the game, you lose whatever you brought in and whatever you looted. And there's like this stash system where you have like a bank, and like whatever you take out and you loot, you get to keep and throw in that bank, and you choose whatever you go in with. So each time you go in, you're putting essentially on the line whatever you brought in with you. So if you go load it up, and you lose it, dude, it sucks, man.
I'd be going in bare minimum,
right?
Going in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and a freaking pistol,
right? That's what people do, though. They'll like loot up, get a couple guns, and they'll run back to the extraction point and be done, and try and loot that way. But no, it's
you gotta get a stockpile up.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. It is So cool though too, because there's a gun building system in there where you have like your like the main body of a weapon, and then you do
Okay.
it goes so much more in depth than like that of Modern Warfare. How they have like the attachments that you put on, like the
Yeah,
muzzle and
yeah.
things like that. You actually have to put the barrel together. You actually have to put like the
Wow.
stock. You have to put on like the it depends on what kind of I can't even think of the name, but the main
Receiver
mechanism, the
or yeah,
receiver. Yeah, what kind
receiver.
of
Yep.
receiver you have, so that if that is compatible to put on an optic on it, or if you need to put like an optic attachment onto it,
Nice.
it goes
See, I think I would
super
really
in
like
depth.
that.
It's so much fun, man. It's the first ever first person shooter that I've played on mouse and keyboard because it doesn't have a controller option.
Oh,
Took
really?
me a long time to get used to it, but you slowly get the hang of it, and it's a blast, man. I'm so
See,
bad at it, so bad at it, but it's so much fun.
that'd be where I struggled. I don't do any mouse and keyboard, and I do have that other PC coming, which is the gaming PC.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting some games on PC.
Yeah,
But
dude,
yeah,
Tarkov, I'm
mouse and
telling you, would be
keyboard.
right up your alley. I'll play with you. I'll show you the ropes. We'll get you going. There's no heads up display. You literally don't know how many bullets you have in your magazine unless you count
Awesome.
it or you press Alt T and it'll take the magazine out. It'll look and it'll say it's about halfway full, and then you put it back in. There's like no
Wow.
way of knowing, you know.
So it's the ultimate hardcore.
Oh yeah, and there's different bullets that you have to buy on the from vendors. So if you use like PS
That
rounds
sounds
versus like
insane.
Full Metal Jacket, like it does so many different things, man. It's
Wow.
intense, man.
I'm gonna have to look
Intense.
into that for sure. That sounds nuts.
Yeah, just check it out. Check some YouTube videos out of it. It
Yeah,
blew my mind the first time I saw it.
I got it written down. So yeah, I haven't even heard of it yet. So that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's been blowing up recently. It just recently, I'd say within the past like 6 months, got pretty big, but it's been out for the past 2
Nice.
years. It's by a
I've been in
Russian
the cloud of
developer.
been in the cloud of Modern Warfare and Blackout, and I'm doing some NASCAR and stuff. So I
Okay,
haven't really been paying much
nice. No
attention
worries.
to
So you
anything
follow
else.
NASCAR? Are you a NASCAR
Um,
fan?
I used to be a NASCAR fan. I follow what races are going to be each Sunday because we're racing a season
Mm,
against a group of us. We're racing in the season for money at the end of the season to whoever has
gotcha.
the most
Kind of
points.
like a
So,
fantasy or whatnot.
well, we're actually racing. So, like, this last Sunday was Vegas
Uh huh.
for NASCAR actual race, and then Monday we raced Vegas in our league, and the
Wait,
guys had all pitched in money, and it was $50 to whoever got first place, and
wait.
I
So
won.
you guys actually go in with like your own vehicles and race?
Yeah, we make our own custom classes, and there's no assist whatsoever. It's completely expert mode only, so you
Oh,
have
you're
to
talking
make
about the
your own
video
setup.
game. You're talking about the.
Yeah, the
Oh,
video
okay.
game.
I'm like, dude, you're into
No, I don't.
NASCAR? Like, you got your own car? What's going on
No,
here?
no, I don't race anymore. My brother-in-law still dirt track races, but I haven't raced in a few years.
Okay.
We did dirt for a while, and I do drag racing now. So
Dang, man. What kind of car do you
yeah,
drag race with?
I have a '79 Z28,
All right,
and
respect.
it, it's ugly, but it's
The
fast.
sleeper. It's a sleeper.
It's as sleeper as a Camaro can be. People look at it and they instantly underestimate it because she's dirty and she's ugly. She sits out there in the driveway. I don't even have a cover on it. It just sits out there all winter long and gets snowed on and everything else, and it's
Yeah,
perfect.
but it's a mean machine. Love
It
that,
is a
man.
mean machine. The wife got a kick out the last time we took it out. A guy had a what is it, a SVT Lightning, the Ford Lightning truck that's supercharged,
Okay.
and he lined up next to me, and he was in our little group there. We were there for a charity event. He was over there in our little group, and he asked if I wanted to run him, and I was like, sure, I'll run with you. And I beat him by a lot more than he expected me to.
Yeah.
And then he
Do you
came
guys
back
go
to the
quarter
pits.
mile? I imagine.
That track was eighth mile.
Eighth.
We
Okay.
don't have a close quarter mile. I go to Cordova, which is the closest quarter mile to me. We try to go there once a year in October. They do a special event up there, and we'll go to that.
So this is all legal racing, right? Or
Yeah, it's all legal racing.
okay.
I definitely don't do any illegal racing at all.
Okay.
Especially when I drive this thing to work and back, a couple times a week. There's definitely nothing that goes on between here and work. So
Hey man, drive it like you
uh,
stole it,
every time I'm in it.
right? Right?
But when we came back to the pits, he got out and he said he was done for the day. And I was like, "Well, why are you done, man? You've only made 2 passes." And he's like, "Well, I just got beat by this." he was so he was so upset that my ugly car had whooped him.
Just
And
defeated.
yeah, it was great, and I was like, well, that's kind of what its goal is, and it's going to be even faster this year than it was last year. So
Yeah. Have you always been kind of like a tinkerer of sorts on cars,
any
or?
anything mechanical, we do it. I also do woodworking and stuff. Like I said, this well, this whole house, but this desk here that I'm sitting at is a two-tier desk, and I've made the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I made the boy his desk. I made my other boy his. He's got two systems as well. He's got a desk there that his computer and stuff sits on. Then he's got an upper one that his TV sits on.
Okay.
And I built all that.
Was your
So
dad like a tradesman, or just like a
uh,
buddy of yours? How did you kind of like
it
get
was
into
it would
that
be
growing
I would
up?
say the same thing as far as the tinkering goes to that same buddy's dad. I remember being shoot, I must have been like 10, 11 years old, laying underneath his El Camino, helping him put his transmission in because he needed little fingers to reach up there and put the bolts in. And after that we got the transmission in, and he took me for a ride in the El Camino, and I was hooked after that.
Yeah.
It was all V8s from there on. It was nothing but cars. I had to have fast cars.
Gotcha. So
I
was
was
this
hooked.
like buddy of yours, like father, kind of like a bit of a father figure to you as well?
Yeah, because I didn't know my dad until I think I met him for the first time. I must have been, I think I was like 12, maybe 13 years old.
Okay.
The first time I ever met my father. I had a stepfather up until right around then, probably 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Um, but he wasn't a good person, so he didn't teach me anything
Worthy.
positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll say that he didn't teach me anything positive. So
Yeah. How was that like kind of meeting your father? Because my parents split when I was about 10, tried to reconcile when I was 12. And that was a whole situation. I essentially got into a fist fight with my father, and that was like the last time seen him for like 7 years or whatnot. So I can relate to that. My father was never really around. He was a professional baseball player, so
gotcha.
I can kind of tell you a little bit of the stereotype. Um, but meeting your father for the first time at 12, that must have been a little bit
Weird.
weird. Yeah.
It was definitely weird, and the way that it all went down was honestly very weird. I had went to Galesburg, which is another town up the way. My grandpa lived up there, and well, my grandma, but they weren't
Hmm.
together at the time. Anyway, she was working at the restaurant, and I went in there with grandpa to the restaurant. We sat down at the on the little stools there. I guess you call it a bar, but it was a restaurant. So the counter. That's what I'm looking for. The
Okay.
counter. And grandpa's to my left, and then I'm sitting there in the middle, and we're talking to grandma through the window. She's cooking and stuff, and then another guy came and sat down next to me on my right, and they all started talking, and I wasn't in that part of the conversation because the adults were talking, and then grandpa stopped, and he's like, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No, I don't have any clue who this guy is. I've never seen him in my life." And then
Yeah.
he's like, "That's your dad." And I
What?
was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, that's your dad." And then he was like, "Hey, nice to meet you." And I was like, "Wow, that was really, really random."
Yeah.
So we still talk. I've
Okay.
seen him a few times after that, and some stuff happened there, and I stopped going up there.
Yeah.
But
So was he in your town? Like he lived in your town, or was
no,
he
it's
just
like
passing through?
45 minutes away.
Oh,
About
okay.
45 minutes away where he was living at the time, which is again Galesburg. He lives in Texas now, and I talk to him. Usually try to talk to him at least once a week.
Okay. So you guys are
That's
definitely more cordial at this point.
Yeah, and he'd never really done anything wrong. It's just that he's a little different. Um,
Yeah.
he had some issues when he was younger, and it kind of messed him up a little bit. So
Gotcha.
he's still a good person, but he doesn't remember everything all the time, and a lot of our conversations tend to be the same conversation over and over again.
Yeah.
So, but
I gotcha. Well, I'm glad.
I'm
I'm
happy
glad
he's
you have a
down there.
relationship with your father. Like for me,
Yeah,
recently, I talked about this on the Comps podcast. It felt like a therapy session, dude. Honestly, it was great. Like I get walked away. This was the first time I'd probably talked about it to anybody openly. I never take anything like I never hold anything back, but I definitely don't willingly just give information out unless somebody asks for it.
gotcha.
Or at least we're on the topic of conversation. But yeah, like my father and I didn't have a relationship, Jesus, until from 16. I was 18 at my brother's wedding, and I hadn't talked to him in like 6 or 7 years at that point because I was like 11 or 12 when that whole fiasco went down.
Yeah,
And then It wasn't until 2 years or a year and a no 2 years after that, my sister got married, and like met him. I saw him again at the wedding. So literally, it was just like family weddings is where I would like encounter him, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then after that, I decided like for myself personally, it was more of a selfish thing where I needed to get rid of like this hole in my heart, you know, of like just this pain that you can't really describe. It's hard to
No,
describe,
I understand.
but you feel like there's a void, you know, and I just wanted to release myself of that. And so I forgave him for everything that he did. And we talk probably, I haven't talked to him in like 6 or 7 months at this point, but I talk to him here and there, you know. And I don't think that he's a bad guy. I think that he did what he thought was right. He financially supported us. And so I'm grateful for that, you know. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I would have much rather had him in my life, 100%. But I think in his eyes, he thinks that he was a good father, you know, and so it's all relative. And I think that the world is it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray area, and I feel,
Definitely a lot of gray.
yeah, I feel people try to do their best, you know what I mean, and they feel like they're doing their best, and they feel justified in what they do, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's reciprocated or understood, you know.
Yeah, I guess I was a little spiteful, and I've always had a bit of a let's
Yeah.
say unforgiving nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did go up after that, and I stayed with him for a couple weeks out of the summer, and I'd stay with his dad, my grandpa Al, and uh, honestly, I used to work all the time. I would work. I started detasseling at 12 years old, and I got a paper out, and I mowed people's yards and stuff. I only had mom
Dude,
at
you're
that
a
point
hustler. I
because
love it.
I had to. And so I finally bought myself my first pair of real basketball shoes.
Mhm.
Okay. And I was so proud of them. I got to wear them for the basketball season. And that next summer, I went up to see dad. And he had a 2 acre lot. And he made me go out there and push mow it in my white Nikes that I had spent all that time making the money to be
Oh,
able to finally buy. So the kids wouldn't make fun of me. I finally had a pair of real tennis shoes, you know. And
just
he made me go
destroy
out
them.
there, and it, you know, they all turned green. And I was so pissed. I got mad at him and I yelled at him and I said I wasn't coming back, and I went and stayed with grandpa, his dad, for the rest of the time I was there. And then I didn't go back, and
Yeah.
I would go stay with my grandpa and not tell him I was up there. And then of course, he'd stop in every now and again, and it'd be real awkward because I'm up there and I wasn't staying with him.
Yeah.
Um, and then lost contact, stopped going up there, got older, you know, things were going
Sure.
on in my life. I was
Life
16,
happens.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and so things were going on, and then in the midst of that, I missed my grandpa dying because I wasn't in contact with my dad,
Hmm.
and then grandma died, which is my dad's mom.
Okay.
So we went up there. I think I was, shoot, I must have been in my 20s, early 20s at that point. But we went to her funeral, and then I seen him again, and we've kind of been in contact ever since then.
Okay.
So kind of the same deal. You only see him at,
At big events, yeah.
yeah, big events there, and now
Now you
I
have the
drove
line of
down there.
communication.
I drove down there. I think it's probably been 5 or 6 years ago. We went down there and stayed down there for a few days, and then I took the kids down to SeaWorld.
Yeah.
So, and then came back up, stayed with him for a couple days, and then drove back home. But I
Gotcha.
haven't been down there to physically see him since then. He came up here once
Mm,
since then, but we don't get to physically see each other, but we do try to talk.
I gotcha.
So,
Is it for me because like you went with an extended and still do an extended period of time without seeing him, you know, and you went 12 years without even knowing who he was.
yeah, yeah,
Was it weird for me personally? I found when I started at, there's been times where I've actually hung out with him. He's come to Arizona or whatnot. That's where I live, is Arizona. And I lived in Puerto Rico for a year, and I saw him a couple times there. Um, I kind of picked up on like his like kind of mannerisms, you know, and like you would kind of be like, wait, I do that, you know, like this is
yes,
weird, you know, like
definitely,
I've like lived my
definitely.
life to try not to be you, but like we're legitimately we do the same thing subconsciously, and it freaks me out, man.
It's funny that you say that because there was a lot of that, and definitely when I was older, I wasn't so mindful of it when I was younger, but definitely as being older and when we went down there to see him in Texas and stuff, I noticed that we did do a lot of the same things. We have a lot of the same mannerisms, which you
Right?
don't really think about having until it's sitting right in front of you, and you're like, okay, I do that all the time.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy to think though? Like he's never really played a part in your life, right?
Right.
And like he never had any say in how you were raised, yet you do the same things. Like there's got to be the kind of that genetic code almost.
Yeah, it's got to be in the genetics, because yeah, there's definitely some traits there that are the same. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's cool, man. Well, you've been streaming since April, right? You said.
Yeah.
What
Yes,
made you
it was
What
like
made you
it's like
get into
April 14th.
streaming originally? 'Cause you've always played video games, you
Honest,
said, from like an early age.
always.
But what made you
Yeah.
flip the script and be the entertainer?
Well, honestly, we were sitting there and we kind of talked about it a little bit. I was talking to the wife about it, and I always play video games anyway, and I'm gonna play them, no matter what. And even if the streaming thing, I mean, it's starting to really, in my opinion, go somewhere, because I'm an affiliate now, and I do get a little bit of money from that, so it's starting to pay for things for the
Sure.
streaming part of it, and which makes it great, because then I don't have to ask her, hey, can we spend this on this and spend this on that. It's kind of
Yeah,
starting to slowly support itself,
I gotcha.
so it's making it go a lot better. But we talked about it, and I said, I'd like to give it a go and see what happens. If nothing happens, then we're not really out much, and if it does, then that's a win too. Because regardless, even if this all dies tomorrow,
Yeah,
I'm still gonna be playing video games.
exactly.
So that's not going to change, because we've always been gamers in this house. All the kids game. She plays the older school games.
Okay.
She really likes Zelda and the older stuff like Galaga, Pac-Man,
Okay.
Pitfall.
So the coin machines.
Yeah, yeah, and then The Legend of Zelda, the original, is probably one of her favorites.
Hmm.
So she's into the old school gaming, Mario Brothers and stuff like that.
Gotcha. That's still respect, man. There's a lot of girls out there or women that just won't touch a video game to save their life.
Well, she's actually really, really good at those older games. We've
Hmm.
tried a couple times to play the modern stuff, but she can't do
The thumbsticks.
like we tried playing Ascension and stuff. Yeah, she can't do the multiple thumb thing and the different angles and stuff and trying to control it all. And, it's one of those deals that I keep telling her, it just takes practice or whatever, but she don't have the patience for it. She'd rather just grab a single joystick and do some Pac-Man or some Galaga or something.
I want.
Yeah.
I love it,
And
man.
she's really good at those games, and she had a lot of fun playing Zelda, and she's pretty good at Mario Brothers and stuff too. It's better than the kids. The kids struggle at it.
Mm. She just picks it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's what I like. I definitely look forward to when having kids. Like my video games are going to be a huge part of like our lives because it's a huge part of my life, and it's
Yeah.
it's where I
Tetris.
found some of my best friends.
She's
Tetris.
ridiculous at Tetris.
Yeah?
She's really good at that
She's
stuff
an
too.
animal.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen some of the pros play that? I've seen like some YouTube videos on like the World Championship. You know YouTube,
I
how you
can
go down a
imagine
weird rabbit hole of,
Yeah,
of
yep.
videos. And I
That's
somehow
what
like
she calls it too. She
Yeah.
calls it she just said that earlier. She was like, I'm going down the rabbit hole, and I was like, I just pat her on the head and said, it was nice knowing you, dear.
Right? Because like I start out with like Call of Duty montages, and then I end on like Tetris World Championship, and it's 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, how did I get here?
Well, that's been happening lately on hers, and we can't figure out where the connection was. She's watching a guy, it's Simon, I can't remember his last name, but he does these top 10 videos and stuff,
Okay.
and that's what she watches. And they're really cool. But then all of a sudden, I'll go to bed. She goes to bed like 7, 8 o'clock, and because we get up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work. But she'll go to bed a lot earlier than I do. I stay up till 11 o'clock doing the stream thing and going to bed and getting like 3 hours of sleep every night. But I'll go to bed and it's on some weird thing dealing with space, and it's talking about the galaxy and all this weird stuff. It's
Some
like,
Neil
how did you get
deGrasse
from
Tyson.
Simon all the way over here to talking about stars and galaxies and stuff? It's really weird how it just travels on down the road.
I saw a funny video or I think it was on Twitter. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but it says like we've all been there, and it shows like this guy waking up, and it's like 4 a.m, and then there's these like two like naked guys with like in like loincloths like building like a like really cool like water slide feature in like the jungle, with primitive tools.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I have done that so many times. And I find those videos so fascinating where they like literally just have sticks. They have no like a modern day like machinery or anything, and they build like these like lavish
Out
like
of
huts.
bamboo.
Yeah, you've seen them, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, I've watched them. I've watched them.
It fascinates me so much, man, to like know
There's one the other day I almost clicked on, and I haven't clicked on it yet, but it shows him digging a hole, and I'm like, I'm not getting in there yet. I know that goes somewhere, but we'll
Yeah.
wait and see. I haven't clicked on that video yet, but yeah,
Yeah.
I've definitely been on those videos too.
Yeah. It's funny, man. There's like one where they do build like a pool and then an underground like house underneath the pool or something like that. Like just
Wow.
crazy stuff, dude. And I'm just
And they do it all with their bare hands.
yeah, bare
Stuff
hands,
that's no sense.
sticks,
Yeah.
like that's it. Like
Yeah.
they have a pot to like bring water, but that's literally about
Yeah,
it.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, there again, just in what I'm saying, trying to say, the ingenuity of people with what they have. That's how a lot of everything we have was done. Somebody needed something, and they just had to figure out a way to make it happen.
Right? And then
So
just make it a little bit better. Over and over again. Okay, so we need to talk about the pink elephant in the room. Your snakes are freaking me out, man.
oh, they're not even out.
No, they're not out, but the fact that they're behind you and like you're not even looking at them freaks me out. The only reason I know that they're snakes is because you told me before the podcast. But like, dude, what is wrong with you having snakes in your house?
Well, this one up here to the right, Malachi, he's a yellow corn snake. That's the only one that we've paid for, and the wife got him when he was about yay big.
Okay.
And now he's like 4 foot long. This one over here was a rescue. This was my brother's. We took him in when he went to rehab because mom would not have anything to do with it.
Rightfully
and then
so.
After he got out, I've just kept him ever since. He hasn't asked for him back. He knows he's in good hands, and he's still working on himself. So
Yeah.
we've had him for I don't know, like 4 or 5 years now. And then we got another one down here on this side. And
So they have their own separate cages then, or
yeah, they're all
exhibits?
separate. That one's actually out.
Out moving around?
Yeah.
In its cage, right?
Oh yeah, in its cage.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
they're in
God.
the cage.
Dude, I'm like, you don't let that thing run around the house, right? Or slither around the house. Okay, so story time though, real quick, just so you know, like I'm not just like I have no like an irrational fear of snakes out of nowhere. My mom's from Missouri. And so we would always go like I think like 2 weeks during the summer or 3 weeks during the summer to visit my cousins. And we would always spend time in the creek, you know, catching crawdads, going noodling, like all that fun stuff.
My childhood.
Yeah, no, like absolutely loved it. Catching frogs, like everything, fishing, all the good stuff. But I never had a fear of snakes until I was about 6. And my cousins were 3 years older than me and then 5 years older than me. So they were like 9 and 11. They're little shits is what they were. And we had a bunch of gardener snakes in the creek, you know what I mean? Like all over. We had copperheads, which you don't mess with, obviously. Especially like the baby ones. Like one was like spewing venom. It was crazy. But the gardener snakes are harmless. And so what they would do is the bed that I always slept in, you can see where this is going real quick. Yeah. Would always like my aunt was always very particular on like putting the sheets and tucking them under so that they're nice and crisp, you know? And so like you were literally like nestled in. What they would do, those little shits, they would grab like 3 or 4 gardener snakes and they would put them at the bottom of the bed so they would like burrow underneath the bottom of the bed in the corners, you know? And I'm 6. I'm 6 years old, you know? And so I get into bed. I'm like, ooh, this feels good. You know, I get comfortable. And like 10 minutes later, I start to move a little bit, and the next thing you know, there's like this like slither across like my leg, I'm like, what is that? And like I go down and like I feel it, and it's this like you know what a snake feels like.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, what the? And the next thing you know, they're all on me, and I'm like, I freak out. That did not happen once. It did not happen twice. They did it 3 times. That is why I'm having a irrational fear of snakes.
The only reason they were actually getting all on you, though, is because you were warm, and they want the warm body source.
Dude, I didn't get bit by him, but that was enough to be like, I don't want anything to do with him.
There's been a couple times where I've actually taken 1 or 2 of these out, well, 1 at a time, but I've taken them out and actually had them hanging around my neck while I'm sitting here playing the game and just let them do their thing until they get too active because it is a little chilly down here. It's wintertime.
They'll try and like burrow or something?
Yeah, they're not as active. But the thing is once they get on you and they start warming up, then they really start moving all over the place because their body temperature comes up and they get really active fast. So I can usually make it through like 1 round of either Black Ops or Modern Warfare, and then I gotta take them off and stick them back in the cage. But I think I got all of them out the other night on stream for one of the other guys. He was asking about them, but he hates snakes too. But I showed him all of them. At least through the camera, they can't get you.
Dude, I don't know, man. Like, if you could feel my hands right now, they're sweaty just talking about it. Like, I got clammy hands, just like, ugh, ugh. What is, do you feed them like live? Like baby, like my cousins had a snake when I was like growing up. They would feed him like
Okay,
these like
so
baby mouse or mice or whatnot.
yeah, so the corn snake up here, Malachi, he eats what's called frozen thawed. So the mouse is already dead. And
Yeah.
he'll eat three of them, full size large mice,
Okay.
and so you got to thaw them out. And then just so you know, this is the only time I've ever been bit by any of them, and it doesn't hurt. They really don't have teeth. Think of like sticking your finger in a bluegill's mouth. That's about
Yeah.
what their teeth feel like. It's not
Gotcha.
anything
It's
that's
like
going to
almost
really hurt you.
sandpaperish. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I do to simulate them being still alive is I'll hold them by the tail and then I'll just dangle them and then I'll strike them out of my hand and then curl up on them and eat them.
Gotcha.
And then I'll throw the other two in there for him and just leave them sitting, one up in his tree and then the other one on his rock. And then he's convinced that he's killed them and then he'll eat them all. Same thing with Jacoby. He eats frozen thawed. They're both corn snakes, but the ball pythons, this big guy here and then the other two there, they all eat live rats. And I'm talking rats, full size rats.
Dude.
It's cool. It's really cool. If I didn't think that people would throw a fit, I'd do a video of it sometime, but I'm pretty sure there'd be backlash from
It's
that.
all over the internet. People post it all the time. But no, yeah, no. I think it's cool. I think that's very fascinating. And if I wasn't afraid of snakes, like I have no problem watching a Komodo dragon like tear apart like something. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. Dogs will be dogs.
Yeah, anything moves, he's got to bark at it.
There's a. Are you on Instagram by chance?
I am on Instagram.
Look up when you get a chance. Nature is Metal. I don't know if you follow them, but they have some of the coolest stuff. It is not for the faint of heart. It is like very graphic, but it's real world stuff. That like, I'm gonna just look it up right now and see what they have on there. But Nature is Metal. Boom. So like the first one is an emperor penguin stands tall after a leopard seal tries to relocate his head, and you can see like his head is like completely gouged, and like you can see all the meat and everything underneath it. Or the next one over is a crocodile.
It's like a gazelle, maybe.
Absolute monsters. Here's one trying to swallow an entire gazelle whole. And it's literally like them. It's in its mouth. Blood is everywhere. I love stuff like that, but dude, I can't do snakes. Like I can do that all day long. I can look at that and I'm intrigued by it. But something about snakes, man, like that childhood scarring just did me in.
we actually had he passed away. We had another rescue and his name was Fred. I was the only one that could handle him. Now Fred was the only one that we'll call him grumpy.
Temperamental, yeah.
Yeah, he was the only one that, even with me, and I'm the one that fed him all the time, and I'm the only one that was ever able to handle him. So he was my snake, obviously. He hadn't been handled a lot. I think he got too big for the owners, and then what had happened there was it was the company I was working for at the time. Her brother was going through a divorce. It was his wife's snake, and she refused to take it with her. And he was terrified of snakes, and I think she left it there on purpose like that. And so we went over there and picked it up and got his cage.
That's cold, man.
yeah, she left it there for him to have to deal with. And we had him for several years, but he was really old when we got him.
Yeah.
But he was 7.5 feet long, and he was about yay big around. He was a monster.
What do those things eat?
Rats.
How many though?
I would usually feed him 2.
How much do those rats like cost to?
It's not bad. To feed all these guys, it's the 3 rats for them, and then we'll get 3 frozen thawed for him, and then 2 for Jacoby, and it costs like $30, and you feed them once a month. So it's like
they only eat once a month.
Yeah, once a month.
Well, that's not terrible. How often?
That's why they're so simple.
How often do you? I imagine like they like relieve themselves, right? Like
yeah.
So how often do you have to clean the?
Well, so what we do is we do what we call a spotting cleaning. So they're only going to go to the bathroom after they have eaten.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is watch for the next day or so after that, and then you just spot clean. You clean that up after they went to the bathroom, and then um, usually every couple months we'll just go ahead and clean the whole cage. All it is just it's chipped pine in there,
Yeah.
and so it's you just scoop it out with a dustpan. One of the wife will usually hold the snake, and then I'll scoop it all out with the dustpan, and then just throw more back down in there, and that's it. It's really simple. Yeah, there goes the little guy there.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Dude.
He's trying hard to be quiet.
Yeah. Did you guys tell him that? Did you tell him that to kind of like simmer down a little bit because the podcast is going on?
Oh yeah, sorry. It's Aspen. I was corrected by the wife. It's Aspen, not Pine.
Oh. Aspen chips from
Yeah,
Aspen,
Aspen
Colorado.
chips.
Have you ever been to Colorado?
No, that's one of the few states I've not been to yet is
Really?
Colorado.
How many states have you been to?
Been to, I don't remember how many it was. What's that? Yeah, just had fun with that one. 35 or 38 states, something like that.
Okay.
Mostly, I guess from Texas all east. I've been to everything in the East Coast except for Maine. Maine was the only one I did not make it to. I
Okay.
drove a semi for like 4 or 5
Gotcha.
years,
That
something
makes
like
sense.
that. So I covered a lot of ground with that. I did make it to Arizona once. I almost made it to the Petrified Forest, and then I had to turn around and come back.
Petrified Forest is actually really cool.
I didn't make it. I was
Yeah.
very disappointed.
Yeah. No, it's definitely worth a visit if anybody is in Arizona or within the area or whatnot. I love the
Yeah,
redwood forest. So the redwood forest up in like Oregon is beautiful. Have you been there?
No, I haven't been. That's Arizona's as far west as I've made it. Other than that, it would be
Okay.
like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, that, and then basically tapering back.
Cool.
The deal with Arizona was okay, buddy. Thank you. Close the door and keep it down. Sorry.
No, you're good, man.
I jumped on a crotch rocket the night before was not running, and we put a set of cams in it because the camshaft had broke, and then an old one at that. It was an '89 FCR 600, and I was going to go see a friend that lived out in California. I had 4 days off of work, and so I jumped on the bike and just started riding west. And after 14 hours, stopped at my dad's there in Texas, and then I slept for like 5 hours, and then jumped on the bike again and made it all the way to Arizona. But the bike was carbureted, so it started running really, really rich, and it kept falling the plugs out.
Okay.
So I didn't have the tools with me to try to do any tuning on it. So my only option was throw a set of spark plugs in it and turn around and go back the way I came. And by the time I got into Albuquerque, New Mexico, from the time I'd left my dad's house, I'd been riding for 24 hours straight, other than stopping for fuel. I did 1,850 miles in 4 days.
That's gotta be dangerous, though, right? Being on a motorcycle.
I was a kid. Well, a kid in my opinion. I think I was only like 22, 23 years old.
My age, that's something that I would.
Yeah, your age. Yeah,
that's something I would do, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, if you had the opportunity right now, and somebody said, "Hey, man, come down to Florida. I'll put you up for a few days, and we can come down here and hang out and stuff," and you didn't have anything going on at work, and you had a week off or whatever, tell me you
Right.
to jump in your car and just go.
I'd buy a plane ticket, but yeah, 100%.
I can't fly, so
you can't. Are you fear of flying?
It's not a fear of flying. The wife's been on my butt too. I'm gonna have to go back to the doctor again. But about 10 years ago, I was at the pool. I used to do diving all the time.
Okay.
Not like deep sea diving or anything, just diving off diving boards and going down and touching the bottom and doing stuff like that. And my eardrum ruptured. It got really bad infected. And then when I went into the doctor after 3 days of being a man and I'm fine,
Yeah.
I had to go in because it hurt so bad I couldn't deal with it anymore. And he said my scar tissue and stuff on my ears was so bad that I can't be doing the diving anymore. So that really sucks because I love swimming underwater.
Yeah. I used to be a professional swimmer. I don't know if you knew that.
Really? Yeah, I did. No, I did hear that in Magadonis thing. You did talk a little bit about the swimming thing.
Yeah.
In there as well.
No, water's been a huge part of my life, so I can definitely
love
relate.
it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of what had to do with that was the fact that one, I've had tubes in this ear, which is the ones giving me the problems 6 times and 5 times the other time, and that was back when the technology wasn't like it is now. Like my oldest son had tubes in his ears one time. They took, everything was fine. Mine kept falling out, kept getting the horrible ear infections and stuff, and then they go back and put them again. So there's a lot of scar tissue on my eardrum. And then the other problem is that we used to go basically babysit ourselves at the pool, and they had a 10-foot and we would dive down, and I would hold myself down under the water by the ladder and see how long I could hold my breath. And I always won that competition against my friends. But I think all that pressure over all the years of sitting down there and doing that, plus all the scar
You
tissue.
probably didn't know how to equalize at that moment, or like when you were a kid or
Yeah, I
whatnot.
didn't know
Yeah.
anything about any of that. I was young, but I must have only been 7, 8 years old doing that stuff. But he said that the scar tissue is really bad, and that I had like a 50-50 chance of being deaf in that ear when the plane touched down. So I haven't tempted fate.
Yeah, yeah. Knock on wood,
But
right?
she really wants to go across overseas and stuff, and she really wants to go over to like Scotland and all that stuff, Ireland and
Yeah.
the UK, and she wants to see all the history because she's a big history nerd.
Okay.
So and she knows it. I'm not gonna get in trouble for saying that, but I like history too, but not to
Nothing
the
wrong with
extreme
it.
that she does. She
Yeah,
can
yeah.
quote every single thing about it pretty much, but it'd be so much cheaper to be able to just fly over there versus having to jump on a cruise or something and take a cruise over there. We could fly over there for a couple $100 and be done in no
Couple
time.
hundred
But
bucks. Who you flying through? The cartel?
we looked at some tickets and it wasn't bad if you go in not peak seasons, and if you
Mhm.
go and you want to go in like the middle of the week. So you can get tickets. I think we were looking at tickets. They were only like $400 or $500. It
Round
wasn't really
trip?
bad.
Or just one way?
I think that was just one way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're looking at around like I'd say a grand
Yeah, probably a
in
grand
flights.
altogether.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
per person.
a lot of that too was some of the prices that were cheaper too was more of being available too because it was cancellation things, and on the
For sure.
cancellation ones they were a lot cheaper that route
Yeah.
too. I haven't looked a lot into flying though because I know I can't do it, so it's not really been a thing that I've been like, oh yeah, let's scour for deals.
Yeah. No, for me, I spent some time in Switzerland and Germany. My buddy got
Awesome.
married over in Switzerland. It was awesome, man. Like the Swiss Alps are just absolutely gorgeous. It's a totally different culture too, totally different way of life. But I found like once you get in like Europe or wherever you want to go, it is so cheap to fly inside of like all those other countries. You can find like plane tickets for like $50 to like hop
Wow.
over somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Well, I know when we flew my boy back from London, he's in the Marines, and his grandpa passed away, so we had to fly him back from London, and it was like $1,300 one way because it was a
Short
kind
term
of
notice, yeah.
short term notice, and he had to go right then, and it was so expensive just to get that one flight, and that
Yeah.
was just to Chicago. We had to drive up there and pick him up.
Yeah, right,
So it
right.
wasn't even he didn't even fly home. He flew to Chicago. That's still 2.5 hours away, and we had to meet him up there and pick him up from the
Five
airport.
hour
So
trip.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
insane, dude. Well, what are you kind of looking to get out of we're as we wrap this up, out of streaming over the next year? Do you have any kind of goals, ambitions, or
uh, I think just like
anything?
anybody else, I kind of messed myself up. I'm not gonna lie. I was doing really really good, and it was really going hot and heavy over there on YouTube, and I was growing really fast. I'm almost well. At one point, I was 4 subscribers away from 800, and now I'm down to last time I checked it was like 777.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's fluctuated rapidly since then. But I was on a really hot roll with it, but I kind of got burned out. It had stalled out, and then YouTube came in with a bunch of its policy changes and stuff, and I was getting really frustrated with all that. And then I had tried so hard to be a PG-13 stream all the way up until that point. I did no cussing, and when I play with guys, I was very particular about who I'd play with.
Yeah.
No cussing, guys. Let's not mess up. And if there was cussing in a video, I would a live
Bleep
stream. I'd
it.
pull
Yeah.
it down, and then I'd go back in and edit a video that didn't have cussing in it and put that up in its place. And I tried really, really hard to do all that, and then for YouTube to come out and be like, well, you're gonna have to do, you can't have any slip ups because of their new thing. You got to be 18 or older or whatever. Because if we cuss and we say that we're for kids, you know how that goes. You're gonna be in
Yeah.
trouble. So I got really upset with that, and I made the switch over to Twitch, and I didn't do anything on YouTube for like 2 months.
Yeah.
So now I'm back into doing a minimum of 2 days a week over on YouTube, and then every day that I'm
Streaming
not
on
on YouTube,
YouTube or
yeah, I'm
okay,
back to streaming on YouTube at least 2 days a week, and then I'm back
on
on
Twitch?
Twitch.
What do you
So my
like
goal on
better, just in
YouTube,
your experience, just kind of
by far,
between the
Twitch.
two? Yeah, right. Okay, good.
Well, I can play music over here. I can do whatever I want. They pretty much don't care what you do. It's set up that this is 18 older stream, and I
There's a lot
can
more liberty to it.
Yes, you can do pretty much whatever you want within reason. I mean, there's obviously words you can't say. You got to be
Sure.
careful of what you do there and other people are saying on your stream. But I mean, other than the few select words which most people don't use anyway, uh, at least not when they're live, right?
Yeah.
um, it's so much more freedom over there. Like I said, I can do my music over there. I pull my Spotify up. Worst case scenario, if it's a copyright song, they just mute that song.
Yeah.
It's not like that with
Not the
YouTube.
end
If
of the
you
world. You get claimed.
POJ got nailed the other day for 3 copyright notices because he does something that we both do is when, say, like if you were coming around a lot, I would set up a notification, so when you come in and the first time you comment, it would play whatever you picked for your sound effect. Okay,
Oh,
mine over
really?
there is like an evil laugh.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. The
pretty
very
cool.
first time you comment or I comment on his stream, it'll do this little evil laugh that I picked out. Well, somebody had picked something and it was a 10-second clip, and it played over there, and they gave him 3 days in a row. They gave him a copyright notice for that 10-second clip.
And
It's
he
10
streamed for
seconds.
like 5 hours or
Yeah,
however
yeah.
long,
And
three
so
hours.
that video is garbage now because they disputed it, and he disputed it, and they still wouldn't take it. And they said, no, this is you're in the wrong here on that, and they refused to bend on it, and so he had to pull the video down.
Yeah.
And his death show is a talk show, so if you're muted, it's completely wasted. It'd be like right now this being muted.
Yeah.
It wouldn't do anybody any good. They're just gonna see us sitting there, our mouths moving and nothing coming out.
Yeah.
And
Not knowing what's going on. Yeah.
yep, it's
That's
completely pointless. So yeah, that's stuff like that got me frustrated, and so that's why I like the Twitch thing a lot better. Is that over there, I have a couple songs that are in my playlist that I know are going to get muted, but it's just for that 3 minutes or whatever, and then the audio comes right back. No big deal.
yeah. And
And
for
it's not muted
me,
while it's live.
yeah, for me, I whenever I'm playing, I don't have music going. But when like in between games is when I'll like put like my main menu overlay on, and then I'll play some
Well,
music. That works really well for me.
yeah, because you're playing Blackout. Now, when I play Blackout, I can't play music either
Yeah,
because I have to hear footsteps. I have
100%.
to hear where the gunshots are coming from. But if I'm playing Modern Warfare and we're playing multiplayer,
Yeah,
I got the music cranked up. I
yeah.
don't need to hear
You're
any of
just
that.
having a good time. Yeah,
I'm running and gunning, so it's really not going to matter about footsteps because by the time I hear a footstep, I see the guy anyway.
sure.
So I don't need that advantage of I'm trying to sneak along because I hear a guy in this house and I want to creep up on him and jump through the window like you do in Blackout.
Yeah,
Um, if I play Blackout, there's no music. Half the
right.
time I play Blackout on YouTube anyway, so I can't play it that way.
Yeah, no, I feel you. So like over the next year, are you going more heavy in Twitch, or are you going more heavy in YouTube? What do you kind
I'm,
of
I'm
foresee
gonna
yourself?
I'm gonna do both, and I'm gonna, like anybody else, I'm hoping to get to 1,000 on YouTube. Twitch is clipping along pretty good. I'm growing over there steadily. I get a couple guys every week it seems like, and like I said, I'm making a little bit of money over there.
Yeah.
Nothing to write home about yet, but it's starting to pay for
Keyword
some
yet
games.
though.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's getting things moving to where it actually paid for a big chunk of that computer that I have coming because I save. So it was able to pay for a big chunk of that computer. That made the wife a lot happier because it's not coming out of our pocket. So
Right.
it's slowly getting there. So it's making it a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
Um, First paycheck, I felt like a king. I ran around the house.
Dude, right? You're like, I get paid to play video games.
Went to work. I was bragging all the guys, and the guys were like, "What?
Yeah, a lot of
Fuck,
people
man.
don't understand it.
Getting paid to play video games. You don't understand." Well, here's the crazy thing too. And I used to get on the kids all the time because I didn't understand. I never actually sat down and watched YouTube other than like for advice on how to fix this or do that. I
Yeah.
never actually sat down and watched somebody play video games. And I'm going to give some credit to somebody that will never even pay any attention to me. Uh, I was watching a lot of Spiros.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with
I know
Spiros
he
or
is.
not.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of
Anybody
his
who's played
videos.
Blackout knows Spiros. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was watching a lot of his videos, and at the time, it was when Blackout first came out, and I was new to it.
He was the
And
number one. Yeah.
well, he was still new at the time when I first started watching him. I think he only had like 17,000 subscribers.
Oh, really? I started
So
watching
he
him when
was
he had
still
18. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So he was okay about the same time. So yeah, he was still a smaller guy, but to me, he was a big YouTuber.
And he only
but
had a
I
couple
never,
hundred people watching him at that point.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, this is really cool. Plus, he was giving some tips, and I was watching how he was playing and getting all of his wins and stuff. I'm like, so I'm learning, and so I used to get on the kids all the time, like, why are you watching somebody play the video game that you have?
That you could be
You have the
playing right
video game.
now.
Just
Yeah.
go play the video game. And I never understood it until I actually sat there and watched Spiros play the game. And then I'm like, wow, I just learned so much in these 3 games to help myself play my game. I feel like a complete jerk for getting on the kids all this time about playing their games. It's like,
Right.
why sit there and watch somebody else play the game you got? And then it finally clicked and made sense. And I was like, you know what? That was part of the turning point there when I was talking to the wife and that. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna give this a go.
Yeah.
And it was all around that same time, and watching him play, and then seeing how he interacted with his people when he played, and how much cooler it was to have people to talk to while you were
Hmm.
playing the game. It was like, I think I really want to try that because that looked really, really cool to have people to interact with. And honestly, that was one of my favorite things about YouTube versus Twitch. I mean, I still have people come in here on Twitch, but it seems like on YouTube, I have a lot more people that come in and want to converse
Okay.
versus on Twitch where
More
they come in and they
lurking.
hang out and
Yeah.
stuff, but it doesn't seem like we converse as much
Sure.
as they did on YouTube.
Yeah. They'll come in and kind of just chill.
Yeah, and it might be part of that too. Could be the gameplay too, though, because I do play a lot more action-packed things over here, to where I can't take my focus off as much. Like with the NASCAR and that, you can't. You're going 200 miles an hour. It's hard to look away at the screen and have a conversation with somebody. So we usually talk a lot more in between. So that could be part of it too.
Sure.
But I got so good with Blackout and being able to play Blackout and talk to the audience at the same time that it just feels more natural, I guess, over there for me to do that. Um, I don't know. It's just fun. It just gets you going, especially when you got people in there in the chat cheering you on. Like,
Right.
no, dude, you're down to. There's only 6 guys left, man. Come on, you guys
You
can do
got
it. You can
this.
do it. Yeah,
Dub
let's go,
City.
bud. And it's like, so you get pumped up too because you're reading
Yeah.
all these
You
comments
get,
going
yeah,
on.
well,
And you're trying
you
to,
get like your like hype crew like
yeah,
backing you up.
exactly. So it's that much more intense and that much more exciting. And then when you get a win, you get all the GGs in the chat and stuff, and
Right.
you're like, yeah, there you go. And you just get so much more pumped up over it because everybody's pulling together and cheering you on. It just makes it a lot more fun.
One thing that I've
I don't
found
know
through streaming is like I just love the community aspect, kind of like how you were saying, like people
exactly.
rally behind you inside those games. And so if you see right behind me, I have the Spartan helmet,
Yep.
and so I am not a handyman. I want to be, but what I did is I went to Home Depot and I got an angle grinder, and
There you go.
I put the angle grinder on, so quite literally it'll fit on with my
Awesome.
headset on.
There you go, dude. Hell yeah.
And so when I get 15 kills inside of a Blackout game, I put it on and I end it like the Spartan way in true warrior fashion. Is what I say.
Nice.
And my whole stream is based around like Spartans and things like that. Like my emotes
Excellent.
are like a Spartan, and then like all of my follower alerts and everything are from the movie 300.
Awesome.
But I would have never done anything like that if it weren't for the community. But I'm just playing by myself. I'm not gonna be a schizophrenic weirdo, putting on a Spartan helmet for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do it because like it's fun. And like I have such a blast doing it because everyone else enjoys it, and it's just a good laugh,
No, that's cool, man. That's actually really cool. I like that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's just something different. It's something to like put on and have some fun with.
Heck no, yeah, that's cool because then you get that much more, of the
Into
community
it.
getting rallied up about, yeah, because they're like, oh, here we go, 15 kills, let's
Yeah.
go, and then
Well,
yeah,
like you'll start ramping up. You'll get like 10 kills, and there's still like 30 alive. And they're like, "Is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen?" And they'll be like, "Helmet? Question mark? Helmet? Question mark?" And it's just a
that's
good
awesome.
time. Yeah, no,
Heck yeah,
I definitely enjoy it. Well, man, dude, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I
no, it's awesome.
really enjoyed
Thanks.
having you on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Just real quick, one thing just to show the whole deal
for
is
sure.
the youngest one. His name is Ares.
Okay.
So Ares, as in
God of War.
Ares,
Yeah.
God of War. Yes, and that's
Yeah.
actually what his YouTube is. He's Ares, the God of War.
Okay.
So it's kind
Wait,
of
your son's name is Ares?
his name is Ares. His actual name is Ares.
Oh, dude, that's sick. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Is your next kid
Yeah.
named Mars?
No, he's the youngest.
Yeah.
So that was our compromise between the two of us. We came up with Ares, and yep. So he's officially the God of War.
That is sick, man. I respect it. I'm huge into Greek mythology.
Yep.
Like Greek mythology is probably something that I know like the back of my hand. I'm not like super adverse in it, but I know a decent amount of stories and whatnot. And I just love like the human aspect to the gods. You know how they are.
Exactly. It's really cool.
Yeah, they are at fault a lot of the times, and they are childish, and they have their own they're human essentially. You know, they have human characteristics.
Well, that's
So,
how
like,
Jacob was. He knows so much about all of that he actually has corrected his teacher multiple times when they got into the Greek mythology and that on no, that's not right. You got it wrong, and then then it's one of
and
these
then
deals.
Google search
Your kid's
happens.
correcting me, and he's already corrected his teacher at 7, and then we had she sent home a little note saying your son's correcting me, and then we had to send back a note saying, well, what was the deal? And then
Was he
turns to
right?
find out he was right and you were wrong. So
Suck it.
more upset that he corrected her in front of the class and
Right,
than
made a
anything.
fool
But
or whatnot. Yeah.
well, you're the teacher. You're supposed to be smarter than the student.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love right. Know your stuff then, essentially. Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. What time are you live so everybody that's watching this right now can tune into you?
Normally Monday through Friday. Let's see. Let me do this correctly. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is on Twitch, and I'm on from 7 till Mondays. I'm on till 11:30. But normally I try to get off by 10, so it's 7 to 10 Central Time. And then what would that be? Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday I'm on YouTube normally, except for today. I am going to be on Twitch today because it's going to be something different. But so Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, it's the same time. I get on at 7, and on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, sometimes I play till 3 o'clock in the morning. So I don't have work. Just run it up.
Yeah, I love
If
it.
If I got people in chat and the games are going good and I'm having a good time and we're still having fun, I'll play. I've played till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning before and had the wife standing there going,
Time
"What are you
flies
still
by,
doing
doesn't
up?"
it, man? Yo, I
I'm
love
going
it.
to bed as she's waking up. It's
Yeah.
like you've been up there all night. And I was like, well, we had 10 people in the chat and we were having a good time. And
It just flows. It just flows. You know, time
I
flies.
didn't want to quit. I didn't want to
Exactly.
quit.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you've gotten to this point in the podcast, first of all, thank you so much. That is absolutely amazing for you to stick it out with us all this way. I think this is a great podcast. I definitely enjoyed it. I feel like you guys will as well. But go make sure to show my man SirCampALot79 a little bit of love over on Twitch or YouTube. I'll have all of his links in the description down below. But if those that are listening on the audio experience, wherever audios are, or the audio experience is found for podcasts, whether that be Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, I think there's like 1 or 2 more, but you guys know. Regardless, if you're there, just type in SirCampALot. That's SirCampALot79 over on Twitch or YouTube, and my man will pop up. Go give him a follow. Thank you so much, man, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. I love the conversation. And guys, thank you so much for watching. And we will see you guys in the next episode of Slevtek's Roundtable. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.